Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for being here, and I'm so honored to be here with you today and to have so many people come out on a beautiful Saturday afternoon to hear us speak and to be part of this wonderful conference. I wish we had one in Texas. Thank you so much, Carissa and Robin, for inviting me and for everybody who's sponsoring this wonderful meeting. I am a neurologist, Parkinson specialist by training, and I also am a patient. But before I became a patient, I was a caregiver. So I wear many hats. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about caregiver and partner needs. I've discovered that caregiving calls us to lean into love. Strength we did not think it was possible. Caregiving is not for the faint of heart. Thank you for all of those of you who are here with your caregivers. I want to give everybody a big round of applause. I know personally that without my husband, my caregiver, I would not be able to do all the things that I'm able to do. So caregivers are definitely play a crucial role, and I didn't really realize this until I had to be a caregiver. So my grandmother became a Parkinson's patient about the time that I was finishing my fellowship in Parkinson's disease. And for many years, you know, she went back and forth, and I went back and forth to Mexico to take care of her. But when my grandfather died, she came to live with me. And by then, she had had Parkinson's over 15 years, and she lived with me. And so I learned what caregiving is all about firsthand. First, I want to talk to you, you know, caregiving, we have informal care partners or caregivers. I think that's most of us. You know, we don't get paid. We do it because they're our family. We do it out of love, part of our duty, part of our responsibilities. But then we also have our formal caregivers, the ones that receive payment to take care of patients. And I'm going to be talking mostly about informal caregiving today. So everybody's different in their journey with Parkinson's and caregiving. But some of us, we all, as I've discovered, we have a lot of common issues. And I think that there's some questions. Some people like to be called care partners, and some people like to be called caregivers. I don't know where you fall into this, but I really think that at some point, all of us are going to become caregivers. I think at the beginning of the journey, you know, our spouses or loved ones, whoever is with us, they're more of our partners. They help us, you know, kind of understand what Parkinson's is, are there, but they don't really have to be active 24/7 as they do when our disease progresses. And I think that's when the caregiver becomes a true caregiver. So caregivers are truly the hidden figures. They're often seen but not heard, because us patients sometimes take all of the center stage, right? It's all about the patient, patient's needs, patient's wants, and we kind of forget this person standing there beside us who we would not be able to do anything without, but they're kind of not seen. And there was a case for me as a physician. You know, was so concentrated on taking care of my patients, taking care of the Parkinson's patients, that I really was not looking at the family. I was not looking at the caregivers. And it wasn't until I was a caregiver of my grandmother 24/7 that I realized the exhaustion that it takes, the feeling that it takes to be constantly there for a patient to help their needs. And I started recognizing the same look I was having, kind of tired, fatigued, worn out, frustrated, irritable, not knowing what to do. And I started paying more attention to the caregivers, and I started not just treating the patients, but also the caregivers. And lo and behold, when the caregivers are happy, the patients are happy, right? When the caregivers are well taken care of, then the patients are going to be well taken care of. So it really does help to be able to combine the care for both. So if your doctors are not taking a look at the whole family, especially the caregivers. You need to be talking to them about, what we can do, especially when the people with Parkinson's are getting into the third, fourth, fifth stage of Parkinson's disease. So we have about 43 million Americans who give unpaid care. And 32 million have given care to someone over the last 12 months, and most of those are to patients who are people who are 50 years and older. 75% of all caregivers are female. And we know that Parkinson's, as we get older, there's more increased likelihood of having Parkinson's with age, but also men are slightly more impacted as we get older with Parkinson's. So we're going to be seeing more women taking care of Parkinson's than men. That doesn't mean that the men are not going to be taking care of women with Parkinson's, as is the case with my husband. So the majority of caregivers right now are women. 75% of all unpaid caregivers, as I said, they do about 4 times more work than the men. Men, what do you guys have anything to say to this? We like to take the shortcuts sometimes. Well, it's just that men and women are built differently. Men want to find a solution to the problem, right? Do we have any amens over there? When my husband, said, find out that I have Parkinson's, he's like, okay, let's find out what you need to do to get you better. Well, Parkinson's does not work that way, right? Parkinson's is a long-lasting, slowly progressive disease. So yes, we do have to find some solutions for immediate problems, but we can't fix Parkinson's. So women are more like, let's get in this, I'm committed, I'm here for the challenge, and we're going to handle this, okay? So men also tend to get more sympathy from the other ladies, so they get help from others, while women not as much. And, men sometimes have more resources than women and can afford to hire somebody to help with the actual caregiving of daily lives, bathing somebody, feeding them, and so on. Doesn't mean they're not invested, it just means that they have a different way of doing it. So, as I said, men are more hands-off, women are all in there. Men have less support groups, and I'm glad that to see so many men here, and I don't know how many of you are the caregivers. Men, caregivers? Wonderful, thank you so much. We need more like you. We need, like my husband is I could not do it without him. And as I said before, there's more anger and frustration in the male caregivers versus depression in women. So we need to be cognizant of these things and recognize them when things are not going right so that we can talk to someone to get the appropriate resources. So the one thing I've learned that Parkinson's does not stop. Life does not stop because we have Parkinson's. So we must learn to balance. And you guys have heard this over and over again. Balancing does not mean that you can have it all and do it all. Even when you're normal and healthy, it's impossible to have it all. So what you need to do is try to find a way that you can do the things that you love, the things that are important to you, and prioritize those. That's the one thing that having Parkinson's has taught me, that you have to prioritize. Know your limitations as a patient, as a caregiver. Know when to ask for help. You just can't go at it alone. And also, the only thing constant in life is that there's constant change. Life is constant change. So with Parkinson's, it's going to be changing as we're maturing. So do not get frustrated when things change. And you have to give time for each person, caregiver, care partner, and person with Parkinson's, time to accept and go through all the grieving stages. And just because you've accepted that you have Parkinson's or you have a person to take care with Parkinson's doesn't mean that that person is on the same page. My husband and I have gone into many times where I think, okay, we've had Parkinson's for 10 years, we're cruising along, and we're all on the same page, and all of a sudden my husband will read something and he'll say, oh my God, you have a horrible disease, and he starts to try to, get in and change everything, and he's, not on the same stage. So one of the important and crucial things to having a successful caregiving partnership is having open communication. Just like in marriage, learn early on what the patient's wishes are and what the caregiver's wishes are. Are they in sync? Are they the same page? It's hard, when somebody thinks, okay, we're about retiring, now we're gonna, we're gonna go and do this and that, we have travel plans, and then one person comes down with Parkinson's and the other person may feel that they've been cheated. So you have to talk about what's happened, and it doesn't mean that you have to give up your dreams or your goals. It means that sometimes you just have to readjust the sails and then figure out how we can still do those things we love. And it's feasible. It's important to always have short terms and long terms. You have to know, okay, my biggest concern right now is how I'm going to take care of my loved one that has Parkinson's, getting him, is he going to continue to work? Is he going to continue to be mobile? Is he going to be able to dress himself? Or are we going to be able to take care of our grandkids? Or are we going to be able to have kids? So those are the short-term goals that we have to talk about and decide whether or not it's something we can do. And the other thing that is very important is from the beginning, and I can't stress this enough, is making sure that once you have that open discussion and discuss what you want with your life, how you see your life, what kind of care you want, is make sure that you have a will established and a financial advisor on hand, as well as doing the medical directive, because so many times I have seen patients over a number of years in families where we've been talking about this, disease is progressive, they're getting a little bit worse, start thinking about, the future, what do you want to do? Do you want to take care of them at home? Do you want to be in a nursing home? And, they don't have these discussions, and then suddenly the time comes, and they're at that point, and it's extremely emotionally frustrating, emotionally draining, not only to see your loved one in that state, but then having to make those decisions under such emotional hardship. So it's better to do it while you're still cool and collected and have time to think about it, and revisit them over time periodically to make sure you're still in the right frame of mind. Think about end-of-life choices. Nobody wants to think about that, and we want to cure, and we know that we're going to do better, and we're going to continue to do better. But again, it's important to find out whether it's something that you would want. When my dad was sick and my grandmother, we knew that she did not want to be in a nursing home. So we had to find a way to take care of her at home. And I hired somebody to help me take care of her during the day while I worked. But then at nighttime and the weekends, it was up to me and my husband to take care of her, and she was completely bedbound because she had end-stage Parkinson's at the time. So you need 24/7 care during that time. And I had a 3-year-old. And so having a grandmother that's psychotic, hallucinating, and thinking that they're seeing other children, and fighting with my daughter, for the dollies, that's something to think about. And then I would go to the office, go to the hospital, and I would see other psychotic patients, and they were hallucinating and having to come home. So that takes a lot out of you. And the best thing when you see somebody like that is to walk away. Let them calm down, let them relax, and then come back and treat them, because you're not going to try to change their mind or dissuade them when they're having hallucinations or seeing things. And my grandmother's screaming, get your daughter out of the water because the water's rising, and my daughter's thinking, like, what's wrong with grandmother? So it's important to have those discussions. And the other thing is that sometimes, especially when we're younger, and if we get Parkinson's like I did at 30 years of age, that, all of a sudden you're relying on an income and you can't work anymore after a while, then does that mean that the caregiver, the spouse, is going to have to go back to school or get another job if they were staying home? And also, if they do have to stay at home to take care of the patient, then how we're going to supplement income. So those are the kind of talks that you need to be having. And I would suggest to everybody, if you don't have long-term care insurance, make sure that you do for the caregiver, so help with the care later on. Always make sure that you don't go it alone. Get support. You have a wonderful support here, 1,400 people here to support you. Find one person, two people that are in your group that you can count on, that you can lean on, that you can call and say, hey, I need help watching, my loved one because I have to go out, or could you drive him or her to the doctor or get groceries or help me, with the house chores. So have a specific list that you need help with, and have that support, that community. Be open to new techniques and new medications also, because sometimes they can make our life a lot easier. Sometimes we as patients get so rigid, like it was with my grandmother, that she was so stiff and bedbound, and it was hard to move her, hard to dress her. So sometimes we have to do things, medication, not because they're going to start functioning better, but necessarily, but because it may help us with dressing them or feeding them, like doing Botox injections or doing some of this Apokins or doing some other treatments, just so that we're able to make our life a little bit easier in doing their daily activities, like bathing them, grooming them, feeding them, okay? So we don't hurt ourselves as well. And make sure you use your resources. Talk to your doctors. Talk to counselors in your community, religious groups. Sometimes, having a women's group or a men's group at a church or a community to not only talk about Parkinson's, but also talk about the daily things, being married or having a wife with disease or having a spouse with an illness, or, the normal marriage issues or the normal issues that go on in life. And that really helps to cement and give you strength. And also gives you time away from your loved one, and you need that important time alone and together to be able to continue developing. Because I don't know how many of you saw a documentary not long ago on 2020 about a Alzheimer's patient they were following for 5 years. And at the initial presentation of the diagnosis, the husband was all committed and gung-ho and said, I'm going to be there, I'm going to take care of her. And as her disease advanced and progressed, 5 years later, they kept following him, he was completely burned out. He didn't want to have anything to do with her. He wanted to be away. And that was the time, the critical time that he needed to be there. So at the beginning, when she did not need all that help, that's when you need to let them do their thing, get help. And then when you really need to step in as a caregiver, then you would be ready for that challenge. Because you can really burn yourself out trying to do everything for the spouse at the beginning, but we need to stay independent as patients, and also as a couple, as a team, need to have your own goals and still continue to function independently for as long as possible, and step in only when it's necessary. Rely on this local, you have, like I said, this local wonderful group here. If you need some sitters, the cheapest the way I found, if you have a medical school here or a nursing school or a school of social work, PT, call them. Those students are looking for money, work, and they want to learn, and they will be your best access to getting somebody to help you at home, take some of the burden, and not very costly. Ask also your physicians, because sometimes insurance will pay for occupational therapists, physical therapists to come out and help you, like they did with my grandmother. They'll come and bathe her on the weekends every day, even during the week, and so I did not have to worry about that part. So you can have help. And there's always, when you just can't take anymore and need some time off, there's respite care where you can call and the patients can go in for a week or 2 weeks to give you a break. Although, for me, it didn't quite work as well. I took my grandmother because I really needed a break after several months of going 24/7, and she got more confused and hallucinatory that I was there every day anyway, so it didn't really help. It helped me only in not having people in my house, all the caretakers that I was hiring to be there. Take care of yourself. You're not being selfish. It's me too. Take care of yourself so that you can provide better care. As I said, if you go down, and a lot of times we see this, that the caregivers may succumb to disease or die earlier because they've just invested so much energy on their loved one who needed care and they've neglected themselves. So don't neglect yourself. Make sure that, just like in the airlines, when you're going to fly, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first and then provide assistance to others, okay? So find time together and alone. In marriage, you don't want to be together all the time. What happens if you're there in each other's, when somebody retires and suddenly they're home all the time, there's some little conflict. So it's the same thing. You want to have some time alone. Take breaks. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to burn out and you're going to get depressed, frustrated, irritable. Allow yourself and your partner to cope. As I said before, we all go through the stages at different times. We have to learn to cope. Time to grieve. Time to, for socialization. Make sure that, you spend time together with your friends, but you also have alone time. So doing things that will make you happy. If you want to do things together, like doing art therapy, doing crafts. You guys have a wonderful deal here. I saw all the wonderful things in the front. Go dancing together. I don't know if you like bingo, like playing cards, things that you can do together and will be beneficial to the person with Parkinson's, but also beneficial to the caregiver. And avoid confrontations. Now that's fun, right? How do you do that? You have to, like in any relationship, you have to be on the same page. You're not going to agree 100% on everything. It's just not possible. So you have to come to middle terms, and you have to decide, who's going to be managing the disease, who's going to be in charge of the decisions, who's going to be in control, because too many cooks spoil the broth. It's just going to be, you're going to be at odds all the time. So in my case, I still manage my own disease. My husband steps in when I need him. When I was taking care of my grandmother, and then my husband helped with the caregiving that she needed when I was on call or working, where I was too tired to tend to her needs. So decide on what the philosophy is. How are you going to tackle this disease? Are you going to go all out and try to get it on every study? Or are you going to, just follow the recommendations of your doctor? You're going to follow middle ground. Whatever your philosophy is, make sure that it's combined. Whoever's giving you therapy, whoever's giving you caregiver. Sometimes the caregivers may be children or grandchildren, and they may be away in another city, another state, which makes it a little bit harder. But get them included. What are they good at? What are you as a caregiver, care partner good at? What are the tasks that you can tackle? When my father became ill and he passed away now, my mother was the 24/7 staying at home because he didn't want to be in a nursing home or rehab place, hospice, so we took care of him at home. But my mother needed help sorting out all the financials, sorting out, talking to the doctors, so I was the point to be able, because that's what I'm good at. So assign somebody who's good at doing those things so that you're not burdened with the caregiving, all of it. And always know where the paperwork is. So many times I have been surprised that, for instance, one spouse always takes care of all the finances, and then suddenly that spouse is no longer to take care of it, and the other spouse has no idea where the checkbook is or what needs to be paid, where the important paperwork is. So be aware of where everything is. Keep a file so that it's easy to find, so that you know who to call with the phone numbers of the doctors, the phone numbers of important people that you need, so that you're not caught off guard. Don't sweat the small stuff. We're going to get through this. Remember on the love. Focus on the love. It is hard work. When I was taking care of my grandmother, there were days that I thought I just couldn't go on anymore. I was exhausted physically, emotionally, especially when they get into the stage where they get psychotic and demented, and they start accusing you of not loving them or keeping them hostage because you won't do this or you won't do that. You won't take them out, and you can't take it personal. It is their disease. You can't start arguing with them. You can't sit there and say, oh, why is she being so mean or he being so mean to me? You can't. Talk to your doctors, how we can help them, find support groups, walk away, and then if you have to give them medications. And remember, the loved one, this too is going to pass. And now we have fond memories of taking care of my grandmother, we laugh about the things she used to do. So it's the memories that remain when they're gone. So try to concentrate on making positive memories. That's my grandmother right there. So, only after you allow yourself to grieve can you laugh again. And it's true, and you never forget, but, it's a way of changing life. So for the caregiver, unknown and often unnoticed, you're a hero nonetheless. Your love is God at His best. You walk by faith in the darkness of the great unknown, and your bravery, even in weakness, gives life to your beloved. You hold their shaking hands and provide the ultimate care. With your mere presence, you provide immeasurable comfort. And courageously face the giant of PD and his despair. It is your finest hour, although you might be unaware, you are resilient and beauty excelled. You are the caregiver and have been blessed for simply being there. And I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.